Today on the vlog. Hello, welcome back to the vlog. Today we're going to do our first TV show review, and we're going to talk about How I Met Your Mother. Now, I think this is a really great concept for a TV show, because so often you will have in these shows those will they or won't theys. And so what's interesting about this show, How I Met Your Mother, is they bring that to the front immediately. Ted Mosley, who is the guy who's sharing his story about how he met the mother of his children. It's so interesting to me that they start off with the will they or won't they right off the bat with someone that's not the mother. Okay, and so in the first episode, in the pilot, we meet Robin, who is the love interest for Ted, which is so interesting to me because we follow along in this show. This will they or won't they kind of getting together, not getting together. They date for a season and they break up, and then they're friends, and then they're kind of friends, but a little bit more than that. And so they're constantly having that back and forth, and Ted constantly feeling like, no, I do love her. So it must have been kind of weird when you think about it, being a kid and having to sit through and listen to all the stories of your father dating and sleeping with so many different women, and mostly a woman that you consider to be your aunt. But anywho, all those things aside, it's a great premise, really, when you think about it, because most often in a show, we want to root for our group, our team. And so when you have a show like a How I Met Your Mother, your goal is to root for Ted the whole time, to find the mother. And so they'll have little inklings here and there of opportunities he might have met her, might not met her. And what's so interesting in the final season is that you see things through the mother's eyes, because they finally cast someone to be the mother. And so you see things that happened in the show, at different seasons, and now it's coming to fold of, her actually having somewhat contact with Ted, our main character. Well, let's get this also out of the way. Lillian Marshall, who for years, I think for a lot of younger groups, and a lot of especially college-age people, people always want to be the Lillian Marshall of groups. The people that were basically married before they were married, the ones that were committed to each other except for one season, but they still got back together, so it's all right. But everyone wanted to be that. I know my wife and I wanted to be that, and I think it just became so much part of our culture. And then I don't know if any of you guys ever hear the word bro or bro code or anything like that. That's kind of all spawns from this show with the character of Barney, who is a player, who is someone who is a bad boy, all those different type of things, womanizer, whatever you want to say, he's it. Now, leading up all the way through this last season, the last season takes place in about a weekend time period. So there's so much backstory that takes place. They're filling in so many different little gaps, which I find really cool and really neat. That the timeline itself is really happening within about 5 or 10-minute chunks of their interactions, and the characters themselves are having flashbacks, or we are getting to see things that are going to happen in the future. So I really liked how they were doing that. It's so creative to me. And so many things came to the forefront. We learned what Barney did for work. We found a lot of things out that were jokes throughout the whole show that we finally got answers to, which is awesome. Now, let's talk about the office rule real quick, because in my opinion, the way this show ends, it doesn't follow the office rule. Now, I've watched both the actual ending and the alternative ending, and I will say that both of them just suck. They do. The last episode, it's really depressing, because all the things that we were building to, we finally meet the mother. Ted and the mother are finally together, and it just feels off. It feels wrong. It feels like we were missing a couple of pieces to this puzzle. Um, and it felt like either we weren't supposed to be viewing this or just something didn't seem right. And so I'm not going to spoil how it ends for those of you who haven't watched this show, but just know for me, I didn't like how it ended. It didn't follow the criteria of the office rule for me. And the biggest reason, it felt like everyone kind of regressed instead of progress. It felt like where they were going was an adventure that I couldn't agree with myself. It felt like there were more gimmicks in this last one, and it didn't sit well with me. These characters, it felt like we missed the journey is the best way to put it. Now we got to the point where Ted says, "And that kid is how I met your mother." Now, which that's exactly what we wanted to hear. That's exactly what we wanted to know. And so it felt almost like we were robbed with what we were shown in that last episode. It almost felt like if we had seen that the episode right before the last one, if the show had ended with that episode, with the meeting of the mother and them having a cute interaction, and then him saying, "And that kid is how I met your mother." Bum 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 bum. I think I would have been okay with that. That was my poor rendition of their end credit little number, and so this show does not follow the office rule, which really upsets me because I love this show so much. But ultimately, the show let me down in the last episode. And that's why, for me, it's important that we look at a show from the pilot all the way to the last episode. Now, I mean, there's shows like The Big Bang Theory. That show will be still going around for a while. There are shows that have longevity still that will be a while before I can review them, though I want to review them. And also, just so you are aware, there are shows I don't watch whatsoever. And so if there is a show in the future that you want me to review, I'm willing to do that, so long as there's the support for that. But there's just shows I'm not interested in. But that was a show that I was interested in. And overall, it was still a good show. It's just taking me a while still to watch those episodes again, to dive back into that show, just because of how much I was let down and how much the office rule was not in place. So that was my review of How I Met Your Mother. Hopefully I didn't spoil anything for you, but overall, what did you think? Did you agree with my review? Do you think it followed the office rule? Tell me what you think about it in the comment section below. And if you never saw this show, that's okay. Go ahead and go watch it, or don't watch it. It's up to you. It's your life. So either way, peace be with you. Until next time. Doo, doo, doo.